On to the next point. The first world lacks revolutionary potential. This should be really obvious. There is no Marxist group in the first world that holds any significant sway. You could actually argue the Communist Party of Japan does, with them actually holding a lot of seats in parliament, but that kind of goes against what we're supposed to be doing. But I will actually give the Japanese Communist Party credit where credit is due. They actually managed to have relevance where they are. Come over to us, and come on, Marxism in the first world is a gigantic joke. Accept it. If you're at the point where Bob Avakian's RCP is the greatest expression of revolutionary spirit in America, that's pretty bad. On the other hand, we have a whole bunch of groups that are like 5 members or maybe 20 members claiming that they're the vanguard of the revolution, or that they're the real revolutionary spirit in the country. Okay, let's assume that such delusion is actually real. You're absolutely insignificant, just as I am absolutely insignificant. No one in the Marxist community has any impact on America, and that's true. Get over it. Accept that it's true. You'll never deal with this problem if you continue to ignore that this problem exists. Come on, there is no revolutionary party in the first world. At best, it's Bob Avakian's RCP and a bunch of student activist groups. And the same goes for Canada. I mean, the Communist Party of Canada, the Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada, they run in elections. They never win. They have no significance. They have no impact on the political scene. They really don't. And that's to say nothing of the RCP Canada, which is invisible. I mean, come on. Marxism in the first world sucks. Get over it. There's a reason why. People don't want to fight. And people often say, well, you can't blame the masses. You know, it's the Revolutionary Party's fault when it doesn't work, trying to quote Mao, trying to use Mao as one of Mao's sayings against third worldism. Okay, that's true. Except that I'm not blaming the people. Third worldists are not blaming the people. We're blaming the material conditions. Yes, material conditions are actually important. You should probably look up this thing called historical materialism, or maybe even dialectics. That is very important here. Because if the material conditions for revolution aren't there, then no amount of just trying really hard as a party is going to work. You can't have people who have nothing to lose but their chains if they have more than their chains to lose. It's just complete utter nonsense. People in the first world don't want to fight for revolution. It's not going to happen. Look at them. Every time there's been a revolution, it's because there's been a loss of faith in the system, or that system has been brutally oppressive. Now, I mean that like actually brutally oppressive, not like first world, like oppressive. People still believe this system works. I mean, that's very obvious. You can tell that from the rates by which people vote. Even when those rates are really low, people still essentially believe that this is the best of all possible systems, that being capitalism. They don't want to fight because they don't have to fight. The first world has food stamps, it has social assistance, it has welfare, it has disability, it has all these things. It's got NGOs that run around supplying everything that people do need, even if they're desperately poor. They're still not willing to fight. Homeless people, go ask a homeless person, are you willing to pick up a gun against the government? No, they're not. They're not going to do it. There may be some among the black population, but I sincerely doubt it. None of them are willing to do revolution. They're willing to riot, rightfully so, but they're not going to do revolution. Hell, you could probably find a significant percentage of the population in the Native American community who are revolutionary and actually have revolutionary potential. But the problem is, how do you expect them to fight? At best in Canada, they're like 2% of the population. You know, one of the things about revolution is that it is the masses, the majority of people rising up against the elite. You know, you can't do that with 2% of the population. Even if we took the entire First Nations population and everybody had 100% revolutionary spirit, it would be militarily impossible for them to win. Maybe with enough bloodshed, they could carve themselves out a truly autonomous region, but they couldn't defeat the government. They couldn't bring a revolution in the US or Canadian government. It's not going to happen. They don't have the numbers. Because while they may be members, like traditionally understood as a member of the masses, they're not, the masses aren't with them. They can't win. That's just the truth. You have to accept that. What little in the first world people do have revolutionary potential is statistically insignificant. There's no chance for them to build it so long as the first world is first world. It will not have a revolutionary potential. Now, lately, a lot of people have been running around saying, oh, 80% of the American population is near poverty, which is complete and utter nonsense. It's complete nonsense. 80% of the US population is near poverty? Like, you're actually trying to say somebody who works a minimum wage, part-time job is somehow comparable to someone in the third world who's in an extremely precarious position, like a life and death position. That's absolute nonsense. Globally, the poor in the United States are envied. Because believe it or not, in the first world, even if you're on the bottom, you're still better than even middle-class people in the third world. It is. And it's enough to keep them from using guns against their own government to give revolution. And nothing you say is going to change that reality. To people who consistently say, no, 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 there is revolutionary potential. It's there. Show me where it is. If you say the third world has revolutionary potential, it can do revolution, then get out there and do it. You can't. It's not there. People aren't going to revolt in the first world. They might riot, they might smash things, but they're not going to overthrow the government. They are not going to carry out a class-based struggle. It is not there. And no amount of pointing to statistics that show poverty in the United States is going to change that. The first world is not poor enough to carry that out. And let's also consider the huge section of the population which is wealthy enough. And I don't mean this liberal concept of the 1%. I mean, look at the middle class. The middle class alone would oppose it. And look at all the righteous anger that we've been seeing since the global recession has been from middle class people who are no longer middle class. Oh, so now they can get really angry about it, now that they're not the real, benefiters of it anymore. Now think about that from a global perspective. The US is the most envied country in the world. It is the wealthiest country in the world. So you're saying all of a sudden, like, the wealthiest of the global people are going to be the most revolutionary? Come on, that's complete and utter nonsense. Revolutionary potential for the first world is not there. And no matter how much you want to say it is, it's not. Because if you insist that it is, go do revolution right now. Open fire against the government. You're not going to, and neither is anyone else, because the revolutionary potential is not there.